This is the north of Russia, the Yamal Peninsula, which means the end of the world. This is a geography isolated from the world where people live in tents trying to survive at -60 degrees. This is where the heart of a people whose species is in danger in the modern world beats. This is the homeland of the nomadic people called the Nenets, whose population has fallen to 70,000, the Yamal Peninsula every year in the autumn months. This community called the Nenets heads south with their reindeer because they have to settle in the southernmost and warmest point they can reach on the peninsula before the winter starts. Otherwise, they will face death in the freezing cold of Russia, which can reach -80 degrees. Because they do not have a settled life, there are no trees to shelter in. They cannot defy the cold weather in Russia by burning their branches. For this reason, they migrate south in winter and north again in summer. Now winter is approaching again. The reindeer and the Nenet people are getting ready to migrate south again. The frozen rivers that go south are getting thinner every year due to global warming. For this reason, hundreds of people and reindeer are crossing the frozen rivers. It is extremely risky to pass. A sudden break in the river would freeze everyone to the bone, can drag them into the cold. So they can only travel at night because the weather is much colder at night and the rivers are safer to cross. For the Nenets, there is no worldly blessing more precious than their herds. The comfort of their herds is more precious to them than gold. Because if their herds are destroyed by natural conditions, so are the people. It will disappear on its own. Therefore, they should never risk rain. However, no matter how well the Nenets take precautions, the North Pole is melting faster and faster every year and the migration routes for the Nenets are disappearing one by one. If they cannot migrate and have to squeeze into a certain area, they will probably freeze to death, that is, to protect themselves from the cold. The Nenet people need the cold again, because they cannot move their herds unless the rivers freeze. Moreover, the issue is not only protection from the cold. In the winter, you cannot find grass and feed the reindeer in the northernmost regions of Russia. Therefore, you have to go south to feed your animals. You cannot keep these animals warm in the summer. They are genetically intertwined with the cold. They also have to live in the summer to reach the useful herbs that remain under the snow in the north in winter. They will want to go from south to north. Otherwise, your reindeer will leave your herd and run away towards the summer pastures in the north, where they love the fruits. On the other hand, the Nenets live in large families. Each family consists of groups of 40 to 50 people and this group has about 200 reindeer. Therefore, the Nenets are large tribes where tens of thousands of people live together. They all follow the same path to survive, but their herds are different. Each family has a leader and this leader determines the migration times. The family leaders are the most responsible person for everything related to the herd and everyone in the herd obeys the decisions of this leader. If you ever go to the Yamal Peninsula of Russia, you will find the Nenets of this peninsula. You can see that the Nenets are also located in Russia, just like the Yakuts, but their origins have nothing to do with the Russians. They are the real owners of these cold lands. They were there even before the Slavic peoples came to Russia. But now they only have a population of 60 to 70,000 and are stuck in the Yamal Peninsula. They are smart in their lives and no phones, no movies and series, no house rent and bills. They do not pay and work in a company. They do not live according to the capitalist world, but according to their own traditions. The only thing they know is to live nomadically. They set up tents and keep their families alive. Tents are made by putting wooden poles together. Each tent consists of an average of 30 poles. The poles are joined at the top and the other ends are bent to form a circle. The top is not completely closed and a hole is left for the chimney of the wood stove. Then the tents are covered with at least 2 layers of deerskin. In addition, wood stoves are installed to keep the contents warm. These stoves are also used for cooking. Thus, the temperature inside rises to 22 degrees, but the colder the weather outside, the lower the temperature inside despite the stove. Even if the men of the house cannot collect enough wood and their stove goes out, the temperature inside drops below 0 despite the 2 layers of deerskin. Their only connection to outside life is the radio inside the tent. They try to completely disconnect from daily life through radios. The food they eat is very important. it consists mostly of deer and rabbit meat. In the freezing cold weather of Russia, vegetables are almost non-existent, so the Nenets eat meat at every meal of the day. They also drink soup made from meat broth. The troublesome part is that these people do not only consume meat cooked. If you are a guest in a Nenet tent, you can see that uncooked meat is also put next to the cooked food. Moreover, this meat is not frozen like in your kut. When you slaughter an animal, you get the same kind of meat as you get inside. They consume that meat at the table with the same freshness. Of course, this meat is venison for fresh meats. On the other hand, women are responsible for almost everything inside the tent, taking care of the children. Cooking and sewing clothes from animal skins are women's jobs. So where do they find water to make soup and drink water? Just like that. As in Yakutia, the Nenets also melt snow as a source of clean water. They boil the snow masses in pots, then they use it as cooking water and also as drinking water. Of course, do not let the fact that they live in nature create an image of a wild society in your mind. The Nenets cut fruits in a civilized way and serve them on plates. They consume bread with meat. They even buy biscuits from the inner parts of Russia. So they also buy soap to clean themselves and medicine to wash the dishes. They even buy tea to drink. At this point, a question may come to your mind. Where do these people find the money to buy market products? In every Nenet tribe, there are men who are very good at sledging. They make and sell sleds according to the orders coming from different parts of Russia and earn Russian rubles. With this money, they meet the needs they cannot get from their natural lives. Therefore, men make girls' sleds in addition to hunting and collecting wood. Sleds are indispensable for transportation. The larger the family, the larger the sleds. This is how the sleds are pulled by men. For this reason, a Nenet child is taught to drive a sled from the age of 6. So much so that these children start their lives without knowing how to read or write and learn craftsmanship. Nenet children are not sent to schools and are directed to do the jobs their families do according to their gender. This is not an option for them if they want to live with their families. They have to learn it by force. Almost all Nenet children are plump and white with rosy cheeks. I think one of the cuttest children in the world belongs to the Nenets. Their genetics are many times better than theirs. They look so innocent and affectionate in their big deer skins. The children's greatest fun is to ride on the snow by tying their dogs to their own little sleds. So what do you think these people believe in spiritually? Do they see life as only this world, or do they have a religion that they believe in? In fact, the Nenets are far from the great heavenly religions. They are loyal to the beliefs of their ancestors from thousands of years ago and have beliefs similar to Tengri. Just like the ancient Turks, apart from their daily work, they perform shaman rituals and bury their dead according to this belief. For example, they tie cloths to trees and make wishes, or they slaughter an animal and eat it right away. This is also a religious practice for them, and moreover, they make their 5-year-old children do this. The rituals are carried out under the leadership of a shaman, and shamans are usually chosen from women. According to shamanism, shamans are people who establish a connection with spirits that serve as blessings and cleanse people from evil spirits. If someone in the family has psychological problems, they light a fire at night and pray for the shaman. It helps the evil spirits in that person to get away from the person. Thus, the Nenets treat themselves with such traitors and purify their souls. They also perform their own dances during rituals and express their gratitude to God in this way. The Nenets' biggest hobby, apart from traitors and having children, is to use the fastest and most powerful weapons in their hands in other tribes. They do sled races with the strongest reindeer. The winner of the race is given a healthy and strong reindeer as a gift. The Nenets also catch fish from frozen rivers, albeit a little, in addition to venison. The fishing method is done by cutting the bottom of the ice layer with a cutting tool and throwing a net into the water. Just like in your kut, after a while, the fish caught in the net thrown into the water are pulled by the Nenet people and they catch fish. In order to take a bath, they make a separate tent where they are. They do not stay in this tent and use it only for cleaning. They set up a wood stove in the tent, and the person who wants to take a bath puts the wood in the stove. They try to warm the environment for a few hours by burning it. After the inside of the tent is warm enough, they collect snow masses from outside and use burning wood to heat this snow. They heat the water in a pot on the stove and wait for it to heat up. Then they wash themselves using the water they heated in the wood stove. Of course, since these processes are quite laborious, the Nenets bathe at most once a week and never endure the hassle of bathing unless they have to. Of course, there is no toilet environment in the Nenets. People meet their toilet needs in a healthy and private way. Since they live as nomads and there are no drain pipes in the environment they live in, there is not much logic in building toilets inside tents. People leave the herd and go to a secluded place to relieve their needs. This place is usually behind trees or by streams, so they need water for toilets. If the stream is frozen, they have to melt snow and take water with them. Therefore, for the Nenets, the need to go to the toilet is more difficult than taking a shower. You do not have a warm indoor environment where you can protect yourself and you have to finish your work quickly, open to nature. The clothes you see on the nets are also made of deer skin. In other words, they use deer for both food and clothing. They also use it for transportation. They do not feed cows or sheep. Because deers are fast and do not waste time in cold winters, Nenets do not feed animals that slow them down. For this reason, they build their entire lives on reindeer. So much so that reindeer can reach speeds of 80 kilometers per hour even in the coldest times of winter. Reindeer are also raised by the Nenets, but wolves are not used for sledding purposes as in Yakutia or Greenland. Here, the Nenets raise wolves to protect against wild animals in Russian environments. Wild attacks coming from the forest are driven away from the camp by domesticated wolves. In addition, wolves keep watch at night, ensuring that families sleep safely. If something happens to someone and they get injured, things will get worse. Nenets try to heal the patient with their own natural methods. If this does not help, a helicopter ambulance from Russia. Because they do not have a phone to communicate with. If the person who is sick or injured is lucky, one of the families in the village can have a snowmobile. Thanks to the snowmobile, it is possible to reach the nearest health point. Because it is impossible to travel in Russian cities with reindeer, and at this point, it is impossible for them to survive without the blessings of technology, even though they are dependent on nature. Although they say they are in need of the opportunities of the modern world. The children of the Nenets may not accept living a life loyal to their ancestors. They want to turn to their own lives. Living according to the rules of modern life seems much more attractive and safe to them. For this reason, the culture of the Nenets in the age we live in is becoming more and more dull and is approaching its inevitable end. Adult Nenets who realize this spend all their free time making children. They have as many children as they can, so that even if some of them die early or some of them escape to city life, they think that a small number of generations will still grow up to continue their culture. They do their best to keep their children away from city life, so to speak. So what do you think about this? If you were a young Nenet, would you choose to stay true to your ancestors' culture and adapt to nature? Or would you prefer to migrate to Moscow or another part of the world and find a salaried job and live a normal life? To be honest, both lifestyles have their positive and negative aspects. Would you prefer to live in a nomad village? You will either be disconnected from the fun of city life, or you will completely forget your own culture if you choose city life. Maybe you will feel guilty as one of the people who ended their own race in history, or maybe you will be separated from the herd. When you are separated and completely ostracized by your family, living conditions are not easy in modern life either. Especially in Russia, which is on the verge of war, the majority of people do not live in luxury and ostentation. Even Russians leave their own country and want to migrate to America and Europe to reach better living conditions. Watch our video about the net. If you like it and subscribe to our channel, we would be happy.